Jimmy. Jimmy. James, son!
Welcome back to another episode of the Jim's channel. I'm your host, and today we are back with a pair of Hyundais. Hyundais? I don't know.
현대, 현대.
Little Korean crap boxes. We have two of them. One is a Tucson, one is a Santa Fe. Both are cities in the Southwest, despite being manufactured in Korea. We have no idea why, but here they are. This one suffers from a transmission temperature sensor control malfunction. This one suffers from an evaporations leak. This one will not be getting fixed in this video. I have purchased this one for personal use for a very cheap price. This one is a YouTuber who saw my channel, who lives nearby, and said, listen, she said, I can't afford what they're quoting me to repair this vehicle. The vehicle's shuddering in gear and it won't shift, etc., etc. So if you could maybe take a look at it and try to help me out. I can't afford $2,000 plus in repairs. She has brought me this teensy weensy little sensor here, which lives happily inside the transmission. Yeah, we're gonna have to take the transmission apart, and that little sensor is causing her all kinds of problem. So what we're gonna do is take it apart and see what's going on inside there. First act of business is to actually locate the transmission pan in these vehicles. It is facing forward with about, I don't know, 2 inches of room. How nice. So we're gonna have to take off the snorkel. We're gonna have to take off the battery, air box, bunch of other stuff. We're gonna have to take off the belly pan, and let's get to it. So fast forward 20 minutes. Let me get this thing away from us so we don't hear crinkling. And we have the underbelly tray, the battery tray, and just everything in this general area removed. That there is the transmission oil pan. Worst place you possibly could have put it. The bolts are basically like touching the unibody. And right now I'm draining, so I took the fill plug off first. You always want to take the fill plug off first. Ask me how I know. And right now we are draining the transmission fluid from this little port here. But not that much is coming out. And what is coming out is dirty and chunky. So this is probably some of the issue. What I'm going to do is start cracking the lower bolts loose. Yes, there is a drain plug here. It's right about there. For this transmission, it is not a CVT, it is a full-fledged automatic, but we're not going to do that because I don't have the socket for it. I forgot it at work, of course. And once we pop the pan off, it'll all just come rushing all over the place anyway, so it doesn't freaking matter. The only difficulty now is actually getting to those bolts, because let's see if we can get up in here. These bolts are easy to reach. Those ones not so much, and those ones where it's touching the unibody, even less. So we'll let this drain for a while and see if we can get up in here and pull this pan off. We're gonna have to reuse the gasket because the customer did not provide a new one and they do not want it changed. So we're gonna have to take gentle care of that gasket. So let us continue. So after draining the transmission pan, all I got was 1/4 of a quart of transmission fluid, and it is darker than the night. So I guess hopefully when I pull the pan completely off, it dumps a couple of quarts, because if it only dumps a quart or two, we know what the problem is. It's not the sensor, it's the fact that there's no fluid in there. But I suspect once we pop the pan loose, we'll be able to confirm that there is fluid. So I drained it from here instead of draining it from here. That's probably one of the main reasons I didn't get much fluid. We are gonna have to try to get that bolt out and the one next to it. All these other bolts are already loose. See? Those were easy to get to, but that little bastard doesn't wanna give me any space, so I'm gonna lift the motor up using a jack and a jack stand, of course, for safety. And once we do that, we should be able to clear the pan. I've pulled the wheel off because we are going to have to access this little crevasse inside of here, this little transmission oil pan cover, like a little plastic thing. There's a couple of 10s up in here, and on the bottom, once we do that, she'll slide right out, and that should give us access to the corner of the pan that's currently being blocked by the subframe. With that plastic shield removed, you can see we have the access now to the bolts that were previously hidden. This one is still quite hidden, but it's more accessible. And if you remember the movie Holes, I can fix that.
I can fix that.
So let's go ahead and take these bolts off and begin the process of popping the transmission oil pan off. There we go, that's what I was hoping to see. We got the pan popped loose, and now we're gonna let it drain a little bit. The fluid looks a little better that's inside the transmission, but still not the color it should be. We have some new Dexron ATF Valvoline. This is the only stuff I use for Hyundais and basically any vehicles that aren't a Ford. Ford don't like these, they like the other brand. They have their own specific little fluid, along with Chrysler's. Chrysler's like ATF4. Can't use this on a Chrysler. But Hyundai's like this, so what we're gonna do is pop this pan off, right quick after it's done leaking all of its delicious chocolatey fluid in here. And we will take a gander at that little fluid temperature sensor, which should be right up around there, I'm guessing. So let's just wait. Now comes the fun part where I'm on my back. So we've got the pan removed. Unfortunately, we cannot remove the pan entirely. We'd have to drain the cooling system, and we're just not going to do that. Hope I don't drop my new iPhone 13 mini into a bunch of fluid. I wouldn't be happy about that. However, this is the sensor we are looking for right here. You need to be very careful with this ribbon cable. I'm going to zoom in, okay? You see that little ribbon cable there? If you tear that when you're taking this off, you are fucked. I mean fucked, okay? There's two little holes right here in the bottom of the sensor. I'm going to have to go get a tiny little pick, poke the two little holes, and slide the connector out, and then unbolt the sensor, and that will allow us to remove it. Because if you try tugging on it, you will rip that ribbon cable, and then you got to take the whole wiring harness off the transmission, and I'm not doing that. I've done it before on a Kia Soul. I'm not doing it again. So we're going to be very gentle, remove this little connector here, and go get the new sensor, which I already have. This is what I use to remove the little connector. I push it into those two little holes I was showing you, and it slips right out. See this? There's the connector removed. You need to have the fear when you're dealing with this.
I think I'm getting the fear. Nonsense.
Otherwise, you know, you might fuck something up. Here is the old sensor. Tiny, tiny little thing. I mean, it's just comically small. Very difficult to get those. Let's see if I can show you what I mean here. See those two little holes right there in the bottom? You want to put the push pins in there, and it will release the tabs on the connector without damaging the precious, precious ribbon cable. Here is the new sensor by Intermotor. A Hyundai sensor would have been the same price, but the customer didn't care. Here's the Intermotor part number, TX300. Genuine import parts. SMP. Squirrels in my pants. That's something else there.
Wow, she had actual squirrels in her pants.
So we're gonna wait till this PP-is a little more, because as soon as I pulled the sensor, it released the pressure and all of the rest of the fluid came out. We only got about 4 quarts out, which is not right. So we're gonna have to keep an eye on that as we install the pan and put the new fluid in, because I'm pretty sure it takes 6, if not 8, but we'll see. Again, crappy little sensor, which, to be honest, I almost kind of think these don't do anything at all. It's just 2 little wires and a piece of freaking, like, metal. Like, what does it do? All it does is check the temperature? That's fucking stupid. That's it. The new sensor's up in there. It's all connected properly. Here's the old one I put back in the box. That goes in the trash. Going to reattach the pan on this particular model of transmission, I guess you could say. The pan has a gasket that is inset right here. And if you look, it's still quite pliable. It is okay to reuse this gasket. Simply clean the area, stick the gasket back on, and you should be okay. I've done this a couple times, mostly on Kia Souls and Hyundai Elantras. Never had a problem. I'm having a problem breathing, however, because I'm like laying on my side, squished underneath a Hyundai. So let me get this all back together, and then we can fill it full of fluid and see what we got going on. Possibly check the codes in the computer. It's time to put the fluid back in. The pan has been reinstalled. We have no leaks, so I'm gonna put about 5 quarts of fluid in primarily just to see what's going on. We have an audience over there. Boy, that's a pretty kitty. Hi, baby. I always feed the little kitties when they need food. Absolutely adorable. We've got all the fluid in. It was a kind of a pain in the ass. Ooh, a squashmallow. I love these things. Anyway, we're gonna have to read the codes here to clear the diagnostic trouble code for the transmission that it was having. So it's gonna take a little bit of time. But then we'll start the car up and see if the check engine light goes away. And hopefully she'll shift through the gears and not harangue into gear anymore. When you would shift it, you'd reverse and it would go boom and drive boom, and then every shift would be harsher and harsher until the car would stop shifting altogether, just because of a stupid tiny little sensor. So let's erase these codes and continue on. She caught reverse. Oh, that's real nice and smooth. Neutral, smooth. Oh, smooth. Manual mode. Very nice. Nice and smooth. We should have no problems with that. Let's go ahead and take the brake off. Got no check engine lights of any kind. We have 123,000 big fat miles on this ancient dinosaur. That's a lot for one of these. Yeah, she's doing just fine. So we'll take her for a drive around the block in a little bit and see what's going on. Suspension's not too friendly on this here vehicle, but she drives just fine. She's shifting through all the gears now. Before, it would just buck and shudder and really not shift into any gear without hesitation or anger. No idea where the hell we are. Huh. Strange place. Looks like something out of the freaking Twilight Zone. You're entering a dimension of mind, of sound. But in seriousness, I think that she is fixed. We will have one happy customer. We'll also have a happy me because I get $450. I do love me some $450. Oh, that suspension though. Rough as a cowboy. So when we get home, I'll check for leaks. And then I'll call the customer and tell her that she's ready to be picked up. So I'll catch you guys at home. The ugly old Hyundai drove real nice. So let's see if she's got any leaks. Dry as a bone. Dog without a bone, an actor out on loan.
Riders on the storm.
Looks real nice, so I think we can call that fixed. Yay. Well, it's gone. The customer came and got it. Super happy customer. Very glad to help her. Now we move on to this thing. I bought this for the channel. This is going to be our next project vehicle. Paid $1,000. It is a 2007 Hyundai Tucson with the giant 2.0 liter. It is the slowest car I have ever driven in my life. I have never driven a slower car than this. Never. Let's take a small look around just real quick so you can see what's going to be coming up. I'm in my PJs and I'm not changing. Real nice and clean on the inside. This is a one-owner vehicle. I used to work on this car years ago at my other shop. I knew the owner very well. Her name is Ms. Mindy. And this is affectionately known as the Mindlemobile, as her son called it. So I think it's only got 116,000 original miles. That hasn't stopped the air conditioning compressor from seizing and exploding. Hasn't stopped the engine from throwing a check engine light for bad O2 sensors. And various other things such as the blower motor not working, stereo not working, etc., etc. But overall, she's not too bad for the price. $1,000. Even the tires are real nice. In fact, I think she changed them probably about 6 months ago. Still has paint on all of the vehicle except the hood. The hood, for some reason, has a nasty case of leprosy. We will be rectifying this the right way. She even changed the headlights recently so they look real nice and clean. Or maybe she had them cleaned at Walmart. I don't know. But they're clean. Vehicle's pretty nice. Still has current registration. For $1,000, I mean, what can you expect? It's pretty good. Nowadays, these cars aren't really worth anything. At least, not when they have problems. So, there you go. Let me give it a start up. She did give me the keys with it, and they do work. It just constantly says, ejecting disc. Check engine light. I have checked the engine. It is there. Don't worry. So she's going to need some work, but we'll get her done, and this will be for the next video. Very nice. This will not be for this video. It just does this. It like clicks until you take the key out a second time. I'm gonna have to check that out. But again, not for this video. This is gonna be our next little project. So thank you guys for watching. I just wanted to put out something that you guys could watch because it's been a month. I've been kind of busy. Notice there's no Corolla here. What happened to the Corolla? That will be revealed very shortly, and it's nothing bad, that's for sure. It's actually very good. And look, they finished the house. How nice. But anyway, thank you guys for watching, and I will catch you in the next one. Bye.